Hi, George.
Hello, Sam. How are you? I was on mute there.
George?
Hello, can you hear me now? I was on mute.
Yeah, I can hear you.
There you go.
That's good. Yeah, I heard you complaining about the weather. I thought today I'll hear better news. I'm feeling much warmer.
Look. It was. I must admit, it was very warm,
Mm.
but definitely now it's no longer. It's no longer. We've got all the jerseys and everything back now. Let me
It's that
actually
time
tell you.
of the night where you start thinking about keeping warm.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it certainly is, and it had a good high today. I think we hit 20 or something.
Sometimes in the day, I walked around in the garden, and the birds were singing, and they were having fun. And then I said, "Wow, that's the sign of the springs about to arrive."
They know. They can tell. They can tell when spring is around the corner, definitely. And
Yeah,
the plants in the garden today. We spent quite a bit of time in the garden. Because all the frost and what have you, it bent some
yeah,
of the plant. So you're cutting off that, trimming and all that. So we're doing that
yeah,
today and watering and all that. So when spring actually comes, the plants are ready to fly.
yeah,
That's my
yeah.
favorite time of the year. I can tell you that when spring coming and everything
Are you are,
sprouts.
are you a bird watcher, George?
I actually love birds. I have a bed, and things I try and put some food in there for the little ones to come and eat. It's great fun watching them, because they teach us other things that they don't want to take everything and take it home. They come and use up what they need, and they go.
Yeah,
And when they know they come back again, the confidence to come back knowing that there's provision. Whereas
yeah,
we have a mentality of wanting to take everything and hide it. And
yeah, yeah. No, I must say that I love watching the birds that are visiting my garden. And I don't feed them anything though, George. They probably find something in the garden themselves.
oh, no, even your leftovers, because a lot of guy will throw away a bit of pap and whatever. So instead of putting it in a bin, you just break it up a little
Yes.
and put it out there for them to eat. So it's not like you're going out to
Yeah.
buy anything for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe a
Yeah.
bit of
Because if
seed
you
here
start
once in a
if you
while I'll
if
buy.
you because if you start intentionally feeding them, then you might have a problem of the swarm of them.
Not really, They're quite, they're really an intelligent thing. They will come and they don't want, I think I don't know how they're wired, but you won't really like get them all come to your place at once. No, no, they don't
Mm.
do that. And it's funny thing when you observe pigeons, for instance, they move around in two, and the doves,
Yes.
they mate for life.
Mm.
And so you can kind of tell, oh, I know this couple. They're always here.
Yeah. Yeah. And when I think watching birds, it's a very, very good therapy.
Yeah, it is. Gets us out of our selfish mode.
Yeah. Well, I was telling my cousin that, do you know that when we grew up, one of the hobbies around spring was to go and find the birds' nests and then trap them. And I was
Oh,
like, that was cruel, man. And I used to love it. You will literally spend the whole day going to various spots where they will take off from, and then you know that that's where the nest is. And you will search and search. The day you find the nest, and then you put a stone there and you mark it. That's your nest, and you are going to trap your bait until you catch it for a meat.
For me, well, I suppose those are the laws, you know. That's you know, you watch these documentaries and the lioness going out on a hunt and catching impala.
I must tell you those they make me so sad. I mean, that's vicious, man.
Oh, but that's the way it should be. They have to eat, and that's how God designed that. You will eat this one, we will eat that. And in fact, when you go on game rides, they will tell you not to interfere. So if you see a leopard on the hunt, or say a lioness on the hunt, and wanting to eat, you shouldn't interfere. You should let them do it, because that's what God created them to do. I'm hearing an echo, Sam.
Are you hearing an echo?
Yeah, so I've got my phone off. Let me switch off this laptop.
Remember last time we had the same problem,
exactly.
we couldn't tell what it was. And
so, let me switch off this. Let's see. Okay. Hello?
Is it better?
I still hear it.
I don't know. Could it be from my side? Should I switch off my phone as well?
Just double check, because but nothing else except this one is on. Are the ladies joining us today?
I have sent them invitations. Let's hope somebody will join. We'll see. And then obviously it's live out there. People that visit people that visit the Podbean platform, they will see us among the live platforms, which is what actually attract us guests most of the time. But I will put it on Twitter as well, just to say we are live now. Let's share it.
Joined.
Yeah, it's you and me.
Oh, okay.
It's you and me. I'm just gonna say we are live now, talking about conversation, casting live. Right. Yeah, so are you watching the Olympics?
I'm watching bits and pieces. I think the whole of DSTV is got, I don't know, 7 or so channels on.
Yeah.
I watch a little bit here, a little bit there. I watched bits and pieces of the soccer. But actually swimming, you know, it's great fun to watch. Some of those sports, it's not something that you watch every day.
Yeah. The sad thing is that there are no fans, so you can tell something is missing.
Yeah. Well, actually, on Twitter, there's an article there that in Chicago, I think in Chicago, they've had their first live concert with thousands and thousands of people there, a musical concert. But their vaccination rate there is what, in the 70% or something thereabouts. I think
so. It does work.
You saw the Euros, fans in the stadiums. I was looking out to see would there be reports of spikes in infections, but I didn't see any. I might have missed something.
But I must say we are doing very well, and I think very soon we will be featuring among the highly vaccinated nations in the world at this rate.
Yeah, very impressive, I must admit. Very impressive.
And for Africa, that is good because we are really now no longer talking shortage of supply. Very soon we will be supplying the continent, which is great. And we're still losing people, which is sad, but I think we very soon will get this under control. I'm quite confident.
Yeah, there's this raging debate about to vaccinate or not to vaccinate, and there is strong pros and strong cons. You hear people debating. So I suppose at the end of the day, it has to be a personal call to say what should you do, because I hear
George,
it gets heated.
You and I, we know you always go to the doctor, and the doctor prescribes a medicine, and sometimes you just don't comply. Yeah, it's the decision you take. Unfortunately, in this case, is that your decision can affect many other people.
Yes, that's the downside, but it's a personal call, and I hear debates around it. Yeah, I mean personally, I'm for vaccination. No question about it.
Yeah, I've done my first shot, so I'm waiting for to be called for the second shot, and I'll go there running.
All right. So I know what your position is there.
Yeah, George. I guess can we take this as having checked in, or you want us to check in?
No, I think we've checked in.
Joe Messina is on the line. Welcome, Joe. I know you can hear us. You probably can't speak back, but you can type a message. Joe is on the line.
How are you doing, Joe? Hope you are well. I hope you've been vaccinated.
He is. I was speaking to him earlier on.
Okay, that's the way to go.
Yeah, I want us just to quickly remind ourselves of the coaching pledge that you and I once addressed, just to say to the listeners that we are doing our best to contribute to the development of coaching, but we might not be the best. Yeah, we are striving a quest for zero defect. Remember that famous advert? What was that? Was that Panasonic or something Japanese? I think. Quest for zero defect. Some years ago, they had that advert. I liked it very much. We are not perfect, but we are working hard to be perfect. Yeah. And we spoke about. I'm just going to remind you the 12 pledges that we always wanted to make as coaches. The first one was the relevance, that we want to be relevant in whatever we do. The second one was about commitment to change. We cannot expect our clients to change as a result of our coaching without us also being prepared to change as circumstances change. The third one was context, that coaching is always applied in a particular context, either of the client or the sector or the society we find ourselves in. The fourth was the transformation imperatives, that we cannot pretend that we are not affected by the transformation imperatives around us. The fifth was the responsibility. We carry huge responsibility in supporting or facilitating change that our clients are expected to effect at their workplaces. That is what they pay us for. Number 6, we said that it's the authenticity, that we are authentic in relating to and serving our clients. We are true to ourselves and our clients can trust us. 7 was affiliation. Whereas coaching is not regulated, we value the membership of reputable coaching federations, local or international. We believe in being part of a local and global community of coaches, both as individual coaches and coaching enterprises. Number 8 was about ethics. We commit to adhere to the ethical code of conduct of the coaching federations we belong to, or ethical conduct in general as a coach, as coaches. Number 9 was the professional conduct. We conduct our coaching practices and operations in a professional manner. 10 was about value for money. We guarantee our clients value for the money they pay for the coaching services delivered by us and our associates. Number 11 was our own development. We pledge to engage on our own continuous professional development, being in touch with developments in the coaching sector, keeping up with the trends and adjusting our practices for benefiting our clients and other stakeholders. And lastly, empowering clients. We pledge to put the interests of our clients before all other interests, except in cases where such interests may be against ethical practices or laws of our countries. Right. Sounded like I'm reading a contract. Looks like if you say sign here, then there's a contract is signed and sealed, Josh.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that, but it's always good to have a reminder. It's excellent. And Joy is telling me that he's had his vaccination and he's looking forward for the second dose, and he's good to go. Excellent.
Wow, that's good. That's good. That's good. We pride ourselves as South Africans. Once we agree to commit to something as a nation, we'll surprise you.
Yeah, it's certainly good news what we're reading. The pace at which things are going, and yeah, very encouraging.
Yeah, George, you and I, we had a chit chat earlier on before we came on live, and we were talking about what I will call the coaching themes. And I said that some people actually call the coaching themes their areas of specialization. And then I said that I think these areas of specialization sometimes is nothing else but the context in which you find yourself coaching in. And therefore, yeah, some can choose to specialize on them. But yeah, let's talk about that. I put a couple of context here, which I call them themes, and I will expatiate on that as we enter into conversation. I'm going to read them for you. But before we do that, my thinking is that a coaching theme is not necessarily a coaching goal. It is just the circumstances in which you are invited in to coach. Let's say, for instance, a client, George, says, I need a coach because I'm battling with issues of transformation and change.
Right.
And you might say that you are coaching around transformation and change, but the client must still tell you what does he want to achieve in that context.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Maybe shoot off with the themes, then we can get into that.
And then we can get onto them.
It's an exciting discussion there.
Yeah. The first one that I want to list for our discussion is life and personality development. Yeah. Which is tends to become almost everybody's reason why they go into coaching. But you come across people specializing in the personality development, life coaching, which, by the way, it could be a specialization on its own, but it could also be a topic within a coaching program. Let's say you coach an executive who says that I want to get my life sorted out. The second one is youth development. Then the third one is entrepreneurship, coaching around entrepreneurship. I put something here out of curiosity, George, if you can note it down. Celebrity status management. I always got fascinated if you take the example of the young American lady at the Olympics right now that had to withdraw because she didn't feel that she was mentally ready.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and I want us to talk about what the so-called famous people or stars or celebrities have to put up with, and can we put that as a coaching theme? Then I also have here diversity management and inclusion, and then I have the common one, management and leadership. I mentioned change management and transformation. I put it here, executive business coaching itself is a theme or is a specialization.
Right.
And I have sports personality development. Yeah, those are the few ones that I managed to put together. And then, of course, there's two more or three more, community development and something relationship management, either private or professional, which is basically stakeholder relationship management. Not that relationship management, large relationship management. That's just an extreme specialization. I'm talking about the stakeholder relationship management coaching. Yeah, right. I'm sure you have many others, George.
Well, coaching for leadership and all that. But the point is, you can, to use the word, you can salami slice them to drill down into an area of specialty, and that's good if that's what you want to do, and you have your clients in there.
So you and I, what are we? Executive coaches, or we just coaches that happen to coach in executive business management context?
Well, I like to call myself an executive coach, business coach. But
me too.
The reality is the bare bones of coaching are coaching. There are basic principles around coaching. What you go through, setting goals, because you must remember with coaching, it is not the coach who is providing anyone with ideas, etc. The coach is providing direction through questions. So that's why it's important right at the start to understand what the goal is. And there's a goal for an overall coaching engagement, and then a goal per session.
Now, George, the reason why I wanted us to talk about this, and it's just perhaps my preference, and you must tell me if that works for you or doesn't work. I love this approach to coaching themes. I often say that because we are trained to coach towards a particular purpose, we have a tendency of asking our clients upfront to say, what do you want to achieve with the coaching program? But I would like to ask people to say, think about a coaching theme being an environment within which you coach long before you can actually formulate coaching goals. So, but I don't like the idea of saying I'm only a change management and transformation coach, because I believe that anyone who's well trained as a coach should be able to coach in any context as long as they are fully present with that context. What do you think?
Yeah, okay. So let's get back to what the definition of coaching is. And I know you're not the greatest of friends with ICF.
No, don't make that mistake. My colleagues at ICF will not be happy to hear that. I'm a very, very active a member, and I like the programs they are doing. But I think we shouldn't just be members of ICF or members of
To the
Comenza or
exclusion of everything
EMCC
else.
and EMCC without being critical about it, because they are about us. It's us who actually dictate and give the direction in terms of how they must support us. So there are some things that I'm critical about. But I am a fully paid up member, by the way, up to 2022, and I'm a PCC, as you know.
Yeah, yes.
But I'm critical, coach,
Okay,
because
so
I
let
want
me let me rephrase that. I'll take back the words I used.
And of course, I'm a member of Comenza. Yeah.
Yeah. But let's start with the basics. And they talk about what is coaching. They say coaching is partnering with clients in a thought-provoking, creative process. So it's thought-provoking and creative process that inspiring the client to maximize their personal and professional potential. And because when you look at that, it's basically the keys are there. It's thought-provoking, creative process, and the whole aim is to maximize the potential of the individual, irrespective of whatever theme you're playing under.
Yes.
Your role is to get the person to maximize their personal or professional potential. That is key.
Yes.
That is key, because then, irrespective of the theme that you're going to be looking at, as a coach, you know you're going to be talking to the person in their context. And I know you mentioned that earlier on, is that you want to seek to understand the client within that client's context.
Yes.
And you now look at things like what is
the context in which he finds himself, because sometimes the context is not created by them. Let's assume that your company appoints you as a change management and transformation director, and you need to guide the company through, and then so the context is being given, and then you come to me and say, what is this animal that my company wants me to deal with? How do I go about it? Now, then I refuse to become your mentor, your consultant. I start engaging you from a coaching perspective. Sorry, I just wanted to say, sometimes the context is not created by the client themselves. They find themselves in it.
It's the context in which he finds himself.
Yes.
Yes, yeah. And of course, when you're talking about what is his environment, what are his values, what are his beliefs. So
I like
in
that.
the context that they are sitting in.
I like that, George, because you are now putting it in a very more simplified way, because sometimes we use these difficult ways and then we just mean the environment, isn't it?
That's the environment that the guy is sitting in, and he wants some help to find answers where he is at. And so your role as a coach is to one, obviously gain clarity as to where he wants to go. What does success look like? What does he want to achieve?
Yes.
That's when you coach in that context.
So are you saying you are agreeing with those who say that they will position themselves as change management and transformation coaches? Or you don't agree with them?
If you are going to focus on that, there's nothing wrong with that. But the thing to remember is that in any coaching engagement, you will need to start off with some contracting. What is the agreement that you guys want to reach? The principles are then to say the same. You want to establish an agreement. You want to ensure that you are creating trust and that there is a safe environment for this guy to talk, and that you stay present. You're hearing them. You're focused. You're helping him creative. You're helping them by being creative. You're listening actively to what they are saying. So irrespective of where you are sitting.
So there's no difference between George coaching executives and Katu coaching young girls. They are both coaches.
Yes,
and they use the same fundamentals. Yeah.
Yes, in terms of the requirements of what we have to do. I was saying to you earlier that some lawyers will choose to be shipping lawyers. Some want to be just deal with divorces, and some the laws specific to a divorce and the laws around shipping will be different, but the ethics around that will be the same. What is required of the lawyer.
So George, within these themes or specializations, is it right to make the assumptions that as people undergo training to become these specialist coaches, there must be modules there that are generic modules that you will find in any other coaching course before you can actually become specialist? Or are you like me, shocked by the fact that sometimes you come across coaches that haven't really done those fundamentals that you and I believe that every coach must go through, but they went straight into the specialization and they are still coaches?
Well, I suppose it's this field is not kind of like a regulated field that unlike the engineers and the doctors that have kind of like regulations that say you must have this, you must acquire this, you must acquire this. Coaching is at the moment very much unregulated, if you want to use the word. But there are basic guidelines. So this is why, for me, bodies like the ICF are important. Because what they do is they create a framework. And so for them, they will say to you, if you're going to be a coach, irrespective of what you focus on, what's the word? They use core competence, right?
Yeah, the core competencies.
You must have these core competence as your foundation. Then you can play around, because we are different, and some people really do very, very well with let's say handling matrimonial issues, and they're good at help, and that's great. But the basic framework of demonstrating ethical practice, ensuring that you're listening actively, ensuring that you're not shortchanging this, is fundamental to have that framework. But obviously, to flow into an area that you feel you can add more value is important, because then you go there with your heart. I think where you have a passion, you're bound to excel.
Okay, great. Great intro. And I think you and I are aligned. And that's why we are holding this conversation. It's important that we don't say because somebody comes from a different school of thought or a different type of a training, therefore you are justified to say that they are not equally coached like you. So it's a big church, if I may use that word.
Yes, it is. It is a very, very big church. This one, of course, very big.
So we can only continue educating each other by platforms like this. I want to read some few statements and then let's go through them, and I'll tell you why I chose these themes.
Okay.
Under which, and I think it's a good opportunity for positioning as well. The first one, you know it better. I call it life and personality development. Now I'm saying here that life and personality development can be the most complex coaching theme because each person is unique. Life is an evolving project. We must make it happen. Coaching assists people in making choices that make them happy. There are no right or wrong answers, though. There are only choices, but the coach does not make choices for the client. He or she facilitates the process. Each person is unique and requires coaching intervention that responds to such uniqueness. The coach assists clients in reflecting on their personal values, health, lifestyle, etc. He or she may use tools like emotional intelligence to help the client develop self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management, etc. The coach may also facilitate the insights into personal branding and image building. I know Kati is listening. Kati, drop a note in the chat box because this must be talking to what you are taking the young girls through. So those are my opening remarks under life and personality coaching. But I'm not a life coach. Okay, let me not now again go back to my narrow-mindedness. I'm not specializing in life coaching, but I do come across, number of times I've come across the executive business clients that I'm coaching that sometimes bring life and personality development issues onto the coaching platform. And this is how I will then reflect. Yeah, George?
Yeah. Having said that, take a step back also.
Yes, George, I'm losing you there.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, yes.
Yes. Now, I was saying that coaching is a business. And because it is a business, one applies the usual sales and marketing principles. And one of the marketing principles is that each coach must identify their niche area. They call it the avatar. Who's your client? And so instead of going out there to say, I'm going to coach the whole world for everything, you will say, I'm going to coach executives. Yes. Or I will leaders, or I will deal with whatever specific area you then choose. And by narrowing it down, you then expend your energy in a particular area. That's your passion, area of passion. And you're likely to excel and do better and focus on that grouping. So
I was doing my best, George, by doing exactly that. If I put it nicely, can that sell for life and personality development coaching?
To define, well, yeah. Understanding, Sam, that, as you say, even when you're coaching executives or you're coaching lawyers, you're coaching doctors, you're coaching whoever you're coaching, they will have elements of life in them. Because you are who you are because you have a family, you have issues with relationships. So when you're coaching an executive, for instance, I'll give you an example. If he is having a torrid time at home, going through a divorce or something, his performance is definitely going to be affected. And you can't say, no, I'll coach you only on your work issues and ignore totally the fact that he's going through a horrendous divorce. You would need to bring that into the mix and see how you unlock value that way. So it's a good debate to have to say, where do I want to put my energies? Where do I add the most value? But understanding that there's always going to be some overlap right across whatever field you choose, whichever. But I think
if the market presents itself to a lot of people that are traveled by life issues, so that will be a nice market to focus on because the demand is there, isn't it? But you might not be calling yourself a life and personality coach. It will be an intervention necessary for you to ultimately address what you probably wanted to coach a person on.
Maybe, as you say, Sam, one thing that I suppose needs to be put on the table is that as people specialize and focus more and more on a specific niche, etc., it's important also to ensure that you draw a line between consulting and coaching and even mentoring, because as you get more focused, you can move away from coaching, which is trying to unlock something inside from a client, to a point where you say, I can add more value by actually suggesting things. Now you're putting your legs into the consulting area.
Absolutely. But now let's you and I talk about this. My view is that the context doesn't change, irrespective of whether you are going to mentor a coach, you are going to mentor, coach, train, or consult somebody, right?
Mm-hmm.
The context remains. If somebody says to you that I have a challenge with performance management, I don't know whether I need a coach or a mentor or a consultant. That context doesn't change. So
Yeah.
therefore, my argument is that the context must always be the starting point. It must be understood to a point where it helps you to decide whether coaching or mentoring or consulting or training is appropriate intervention. And that dialogue doesn't always take place because you are a coach, and you know that English saying that he who is he who holds a hammer, everything he sees is a nail he hits. So that's why I say I want us to take the hat off of a coach when we are looking into a context, and that's why I say it's a very rich conversations because some of us, George, in my company included, we are not only offering coaching, we are offering coaching, training, consulting, and mentoring. And it's a good thing when you have associates that work in all these various areas because you may just find that really the client, maybe only the CEO needs a coach, but the rest of the people, they need the mentoring. Then you can have a combination because the context still needs to be addressed. What do you think? I am underlying and noting your warning that be careful not to replace coaching with consulting.
Well, so a good ethical practice for any coach is, as you say, Sam, to go through, listen to everything, ask all the right questions, etc. And when it's clear coming out that actually what this guy needs is really not my coaching, what he needs is consulting. He needs a consultant to help him. Now, as a good and ethical coach, you maintain that distinction, and you can actually refer the client to a support professional.
So you agree with me that the starting point, therefore, is the theme and the context before you can decide whether you prescribe coaching or any related things.
You must understand where is the man coming from? Where does he sit right now? Where does he want to go?
So we supposed to do diagnosis long before even you go on a chemistry session? Because some people tell me that they'll find out in a chemistry session if coaching is right. I said, but if you're already having a chemistry session, you've already decided that you're going for coaching, right?
But I suppose, let's assume in your first discussion, this doesn't quite come out, but somewhere in your first session or even second section, you see, hey, actually, this we are moving away from. I think at that stage, be brave enough to bring it up and say, you know what, this might be worth referring to us. Sometimes it's therapy, for instance, and we don't have expertise around therapy. And so we might be able to say, now what I'm seeing or what I'm feeling now, and then of course put it in a way that that isn't like you are you're pushing somebody away. But
there's a question there in the chat box, John. George, can one just say I'm a coach without putting an adjective, especially that the fundamentals are common? That's a very good question.
I don't see any reason why not, and I stand to be corrected by other people out there. If I stand up and say I'm a coach, and the next person who walks in has got issues around, say, career, help me with my career, and I do have competence around that, questioning, etc., and I actually do help the guy. The next day, I can talk to a housewife who has matrimonial issues. So I don't think there's any prescription that says you must say I'm an executive coach. But the reason people do that is back to the point I'd raised earlier, that you are now saying, okay, the marketers will say to you, drill down to a specific niche market, to find your avatar, find your area where you are going to help people with a passion, etc.
So this
Identify that.
the adjective that we use is really nothing else but the packaging of our product.
Yes, your packaging. That's your packaging. Because remember, I think 4 weeks ago, WebEx, the Executive and Business Coaches Association, had their summit, and in there you have all people who are coaching CEOs, FDs, etc. They have made a conscious choice to actually sit in that, actually migrate out of that, and work with, say, Coaches Rising, who focus on depression and all that.
Well, I attended the webinar by Performance Consultants International this week, and I'm actually meant to ask them whether they specialize only in performance, and I realized that actually is the packaging, like you are saying, that the main core of their focus is help people to perform to their best ability. And as you know, the Performance Coach Consultants International is an organization that was co-founded by John Whitmore himself, and I think that was the very beginning where coaching started. It was all about to help people in their work to perform better, and now we have taken it to the next level that it can be used for many others. But it isn't that performance really the main basic issue that we are addressing with coaching, in whatever form of performance, or in whatever form that performance could be.
Sorry.
But it doesn't mean that they don't coach, they don't develop people to become management, leadership, and all transformation. So and I'm just trying to answer your question and support my statement of saying it looks like it's more of a packaging than anything else. After all, in answering the question on the chart, it's sufficient to be a coach, and then you can coach in many other contexts. And if you find a particular context that seems to be having a higher demand, it's worth a while to package yourself according to that demand, because there's there's opportunity for you.
It is a marketing decision to say, how do you maximize? Because you can't coach the whole world. You can't coach everyone under the sun. But if you, so let me give you an example. There's a lady called Marina Yankovic. She's a MCC, and she focuses on coaching professional women around fear.
Yes.
So she's a little as facing fear, self-doubt, befriending fear, activating the hero. But she's really drilled down to focus on that. Because she has found it resonates with her.
And there is a demand for it. And then probably through practice, she develops some approaches that are specialized for that type of a challenge, right?
Absolutely. I see absolutely nothing wrong with coaching everyone under the sun. And, I have an article coming up, Sam, in which I'm talking about coaching in Africa. To say, we haven't, in Africa, coaching we haven't even started to scratch the surface in terms of what we can do with coaching. And therefore, the general coach, like the one on the chart, who does everything, has a place right now, because we haven't quite. People will ask you what is actually.
No, he didn't say. Now the listener didn't say that he is a general coach. He's just asking.
Yes. No. Yeah. Okay. Teacher, what is this coaching that you tell me about? And let me tell you a story, guys. Let me tell you. So I went out. We're playing golf with this guy. Is this guy? He's quite senior in his business, and so he asked, "What do I do?" I said, "I'm a coach." And so a few holes later, he says, "Well, I don't like coaches because they tell me what to do." So I then say, "Okay, so Have you worked with a coach? No, I haven't. Okay, so how do you know that coaches tell you what to do? Because, I was a sports person. And
Yes.
so now in his mind, he's referring to his hockey coach who would say to him, do this, do that. And so it was an opportunity for me to explain to him that that's actually not what coaching is all about.
George, you are bringing something quite very interesting. Do you know that this coaching that, and I might be asking an obvious question because probably in your coaching programs that was given as a background, that this coaching that we are using, say Whitmore and his friends, actually borrowed this or tested this in the golf environment and tennis environment.
Right.
Then they say that even in sports, it's actually not helpful to tell the players what to do. You need to challenge them. Yes, they will obviously go through the fundamentals of how to play their sports, how to hold the golf stick, and how to hit the ball. But in actual fact, they used one of the things they used was to demonstrate, and then they said after they've demonstrated and they allow the players to actually test it and trial it and feel it themselves, and then afterwards they ask them questions. Well, how did you feel when you were holding it this way and that way? And then they realized that, but this thing is very useful even in then they brought it over into business. Now, I don't know if we go back to sport, I think the sport coaches that allow players to express themselves within the framework that they've created, they achieve more than those who sit on the touchline and shout every instructions whenever the player catches the ball, tell the player how to hold it and how to pass it. That player gets confused.
Well, let me tell you, even in sport, no coach in the world can tell Lionel Messi how to play football. All you can do is get him to a place where he expresses his best. And that's a skill. That's the style.
Yeah. You coach him to work from his strengths.
Yes. A good coach
and
gets
to compensate
the best out of everybody.
Wow.
So he himself might not even know how to kick the ball.
So that sports person that was telling you that they don't like the coach because the coach tells them what to do, should have told him that he must bring his coach to you to coach him how to best coach.
Well, no, the happy ending, because at the end of the day, he actually did understand what the role of a coach, and the role of a coach is really to be to give you an opportunity to look at different perspective to your issues, to think of answers that are sitting inside of you, but nobody had prodded you enough to get you there. And so he understood that it's not a consultant walking up and said, "This is how you run your business," but rather somebody.
I wish Ntate Masinya could comment on this because he's a soccer coach. Ntate Masinya, we want to hear from you.
You must write something there.
Right? Tell us how do you coach your players? Do you tell them what to do, or you give them space to be themselves as long as they win the game? That will be very interesting. I want us to move to another very interesting specialization, entrepreneurship coaching. I think we haven't done enough work on this one, George.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. I haven't actually done a lot around that, and that's an area I want to get into a lot. And I'll tell you why. In that thing that I'm talking about, what's good for Africa, etc. I'm arguing that we actually have the capacity in Africa to do all sorts of things. But the point is there's this taking prescription. You're told this is what you think that's best for you, and you take that and you run with it with disastrous results. You take that in, and yet if you sit with Sam and you ask him questions, etc., inside of him he knows what needs to be done. So if you use the coaching approach in almost everything, you are going to find that you will have novel solutions to the things that challenge us.
Mm. Let me read my statements and then we'll take it forward.
Okay.
Entrepreneurship coaching is a kind of a business coaching, but it focuses on the unique business person called an entrepreneur.
Right.
An entrepreneur identifies challenges, sources solutions, products, services, and create value. Whereas the coach does not have to have practiced entrepreneurship, he or she must understand the context in which an entrepreneurship coaching takes place. The clear objective is to produce or facilitate the development of an entrepreneur and the enterprise through coaching. That is what entrepreneurship development coaching is all about. The proof of a successful entrepreneurship development coaching is a functioning enterprise and a highly capable entrepreneur. The approach and tools that the coach uses are informed by the stage at which the entrepreneur and the enterprise are in their life cycle. Coaching a startup is not the same as coaching a seasoned entrepreneur who is looking at growing the market share, renewal and diversification of the product and service offerings. The coaching methods may be the same, but the approach must respond to the circumstances facing the client. The entrepreneur is challenged to master the logical steps in exploring and resolving the problem. So that's how I try to put the context.
Okay. Remember what we said earlier about this thing about context. Let me use ICF also. Sorry, I'm going to go back onto that because they talk of a core competence called cultivates trust and safety. And it says that underneath that, a coach must seek to understand the client within their context, which may include their identity, environment, experiences. Now you've addressed that, values and beliefs. So already once you're talking about experiences, your startup and the guy who's been in the game for donkey years clearly are different. But the rules are the same in terms of how do you approach these coaching sessions? In the sense that you start off with coaching agreement. Where are you now? Where do you want to get to? And in each coaching session, what do you want to get out of this coaching session? So that remains the same. Where your focus as an entrepreneurship development coach comes in is because using experience now to guide you in getting the questioning and the questions that you ask.
So the questions must be directed at the stage at which that entrepreneur is.
In his context, because you don't come out and say, these are the 10 questions I'm going to ask in any coaching conversation. The questions will come as you navigate the process. And therefore,
is there a value in appreciating the phase at which this business or this entrepreneur is?
Of course. Absolutely same. You have to, you literally must have a feel of where this guy is.
Yeah, because you also have to feed back to them what the stage at which they are is doing to you as you coach them. If you coach somebody who has just started and he's so naive about entrepreneurship, and you feel like this person is not ready for what they're getting into, you will probably offer, with his permission, how you are feeling.
Yes. So that's what.
Because if it was in consulting, you will say, my friend, you are very naive, but you can't say that. You will say, I'm feeling that like something is not right. What is it that you think you need? Or what is it what is it that you think you have overlooked?
Okay. So now, when what you say is what they generally refer to as intuition, right? Where the coach has about something, and with the permission, of course, of the client, brings that to bear. That I am sensing some discomfort with that. I am sensing whatever it is. It might be wrong, but it might actually be something that opens up. The guy will say, "Oh yes, sure," and then that you pick up another line of questioning. Now that's going to help the guy. But the only way, Sam, you can help in that direction is when you're actually hearing what the guy is saying. What he's saying, what he is not saying, because it's so. It's for me the biggest advantage for anyone who uses a coach is somebody is listening actively to you and is able to then help you see a different perspective.
What will you say are the common challenges that the clients that will come to you under entrepreneurship coaching could be? What do you think are the common challenges that they will be battling with?
Under entrepreneurship, well, in this current environment, just the complexity of everything, the uncertainty, it really is my favorite word: volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. It's such a moving target.
And so it could be issues of survival of their business.
Absolutely. And therefore, when it is, hello, there's a comment here.
Yes, there's Ndate commenting to on our question, how he coaches his football players. He's saying that when coming to soccer players, what I normally do is start them with meditation of about 30 minutes before the actual session. Then during the session, I'm briefing them about the benefits of the exercises I'm demonstrating to them. And lastly, I ask them about their own view of their training session and the areas that they feel needs improvement. That's how I challenge my players to detect if they are in line with what I wish them. Wow, great. That is coaching. That is actually what Sir John Whitmore says he did to bring this type of coaching to sports and back into the coaching we do. Because if I agree with Joe, if the coach is just telling the players what to do and he doesn't ask them why they think they are doing what he's asking them to do, then it's not coaching.
That's right. So back to that man who thought, I would just be told, do this, do that. And that's not coaching. That's someone telling you what to do. Coaching is what Joe Harry has said. That a bit of meditation, but what do you call it, Sam, when you start with your coaching session?
Checking in.
Yeah, you check in.
Mindfulness and checking in.
Yes, and then asking players for their view. That's coaching, because ultimately they say people will perform best when they do what they want to do, in the sense of it's coming from inside.
They are fully present.
They are fully present.
Now, Joe has taken us back to the sports coaching, but I want to link it with celebrity status coaching, and I want to bring Biles, the young lady Biles, into the picture, the American girl that pulled out of gymnastics. Yes. Because that is serious, and that has started a conversation, and I think she started a very interesting conversation that coaches need to have. What do you think needed to happen with Biles? What before she even pulled out? If she had a conversations with a coach, and I'm sure she had a conversation with her coaches. I'm sure she has coaches. But what could they have done? Because this is a huge decision that they've taken. Could it have been avoided? And what interventions could have been done for her to feel confident that she can go and actually play? Because the reason why she pulled out, she said mentally she was not well, and she felt that if she's not mentally well, she could actually experience horrible accidents because she was not going to be concentrated.
This huge debate started, remember, with Naomi. Naomi was a French job.
Yes.
And she also left. I thought the organizers behaved poorly there. I stand to be corrected. I just found that they didn't sympathize with her. But okay, so the issue is,
I don't think she just woke up and then decided I'm not mentally well. This must have been coming.
This
must have been discussed. How could they have supported her?
Maybe for those who are listening, maybe throw in your comments in the chat there.
Because you and I mean, you have mentioned the ICF core competency that you need to be fully present, but I think the same applies to the client. If the client is not fully present.
Well, coaching is about the client. It's about the client, and so I'm sure well, let me not say I'm sure. Ideally, those Olympic teams would have within them a coach, not just a coach on the technical side, but a coach who looks at the well-being, mental health, etc. of them. And I think because initially when she didn't compete, it was they were protecting her. So perhaps they found out rather late, and perhaps it could have been done better.
Let me read the points, and we have left the entrepreneurship prematurely, but I think this is very pertinent and is very current. Let me just read what is written here. I've written here under celebrity status management, and I want to combine that with sports personality development, right?
All right.
And let me start with sport personality development, because these are opportunities where coaches can really go and position themselves. Here I'm saying that under sports personality development, there are many arguments for a dedicated coaching program for sport personalities, amateur and the professionals. The moment a young athlete is identified to have an outstanding talent and potential to make it to the professional level, or chooses to make a career in sport, he or she will need a coaching program. Such a program is more than the technical sport coaching. Here we are talking about life and career management coaching. One of the challenges athletes face is achieving a balance between sport, education, normal and sport life, and later celebrity sport personality life. The demands of development phase are put on such athletes by development academies and trainers. This is often the beginning of a hectic and a high-pressure life. However, this need not be a punishment in life. The development of emotional capacity to deal with this is an absolute necessity early in their lives. The athletes always have a desire to live normal lives, but this does not always become a reality. They are exposed to demand of high expectations from the society, pushed by circumstances to display behaviors of a professional athlete too early in their lives. From the beginning, at junior clubs, they experience pressures from fans, parents, friends, club supporters, and club sponsors. Sport clubs expose them to extensive travel to participate in sport tournaments in the country, continent, and the world. Sport agents may pick that athletes very young, tracks their performance, sign them, and expose them to bigger sporting markets. This is how performance expectations are raised high. The interests of the athletes take secondary position. Athletes are separated from their parents and family members too soon. If they are not exposed to life coaching, the chances are that the impact will be negative. At club levels, the athletes are exposed to league and cup games pressures, which have their own kind of demands. The athletes' education program, if not well integrated into their sport program, tends to suffer. In today's world, education and sport are seen as one. The athletes must do well in both. And I'm quoting here that the United States is known for recruiting athletes and giving them sports scholarships to study at their best universities and play in the college sport leagues. This is actually the dream of most talented athletes. And such universities and colleges have many years' experience in balancing sport and education. Once the athlete reach the professional level, they become big personal brands. Personal brand management becomes the necessary theme of their life coaching program. And these personal brands may either add to the growth of their club brands or be in conflict with their club brands. They become celebrity sport personalities with own dedicated sponsors. The complexity grows. At this stage, we are also concerned with their post-stardom life. So sport personality coaching is not a luxury, but a necessity. And conclude by saying, and then, of course, their sponsors come into the play. And what do you think is now going on with this young girl and the sponsors of the American team at the Olympics? Wow.
That's a big one. That's a big one. That's a big one. That's always a balance between the value that sponsors get out of sponsorships and the actual well-being of an individual. I think in the past, the focus used to be a lot on the sponsor. I think the world is moving away from that. I think if you check shall I use the word the temperature after Naomi and Pele spoke, clearly there's a huge amount of support for those athletes, and so I think sponsors are going to behave rather differently going forward. And perhaps it would obviously go down into how do you frame your contracts, etc., etc. But it's a very, very big issue around.
And it has just made the need for coaching, not technical sport coaching as you and I practice. That is really going to grow the need for that to come into, even at club levels.
Yes. And back to that point, Sam, about the basics. And the basics of coaching are where the coach is finding out what success looks like for the client. Where do they want to go? Helping them to unlock perspectives that will help them to get where they want to get to.
There's a comment there saying that what Wissam is reading for athletes can be true for a musician, CEO, president, politician, etc., which confirms earlier discussion about unpackaged role of a coach. Wow. So true. So it looks like the case is very strong for specialization in coaching because of this big complex world we live in.
Absolutely. And coaching at a personal, team, shall I say governmental level, business level, it is so important. The value that coaches can help employees. I mean, we were discussing the other day, Sam, to say in the States, they say in the US alone, the coaching industry will be a $20 billion US dollar business in 2022. We are lagging way behind on the African continent, and I'm pushing the case that says we must actually have coaching in almost every, whether it's in government, in businesses, because you are helping people to grow to the full capacity, which they're even not aware of inside.
Mm. 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 Yeah.
So yeah, I'm seeing
Joe,
here.
Joe has just posted his testimonial there about where it all started. You can read it, George. I still remember those days. We were putting everybody through coaching, through sports, but we actually integrated into coaching live as we were engaging with the young people. And it looks like these things, and then I'm going back to the point that this is true for any profession, for musicians, for CEOs, for politicians and the leaders in general.
Yes.
Because once you stand, I mean, imagine if they appoint you the CEO of, say, which is the most prominent company in South Africa, the CEO of, let's choose a very most obvious that everybody will say, wow, Vodacom. Okay, let's say SAA or Transnet. Those visible, immediately you are so highly visible that even when you take a corner at the mall, everybody sees you.
Absolutely. And your life changes instantly.
Yes. And often people are not prepared for that. They think, everybody's just going to celebrate. Well done, you're the great man. No, they're going to start poking holes in you. So coaching is required, then is needed at every level.
I have Mvusi here commenting, but I think Sam, we must get these people on the speaker side next week. so we can get their full comments, you know.
Yes, absolutely. But I think this topic we have started, I'm just mentioning these themes because sometimes coaches think there is a lack of market out there. It's not about the market, it's about us not packaging our offering in a way that it speaks to the people, potential clients. So we have already now highlighted that there is a need for coaching for celebrities, but also for sports personalities, and using the examples we've used. We touched on entrepreneurship as well. We can't just be making packages and money available to support entrepreneurs without giving them coaching, because they're just going to be back to the square one once those resources are exhausted.
And it should actually be a requirement. And I think I know financial institutions do for some, but it's a prudent way of handling your funds. If you're going to give someone money, you must involve coaching, so you get a full idea of what he wants, where they want to go, and how you can help them think better.
Maybe what we are saying, George, as coaches and potential coaches and future coaches, something maybe what we are not doing well is marketing and positioning our offerings. And I think what we have started just now with this session today is to say that it's not enough to say I'm a coach. You need to be able to package your offering. And these themes actually maybe, even if you are not going to only specialize on those, but they are part of your package. They are part of your offering. And therefore you need to package it in a way that people will be interested to say, I want you to become my celebrity status coaching because I'm in this thing called celebrities, but it's creating problems for me. Yeah? Yeah,
Now the
Vusi saying
specialization
she has been posting, George. You just didn't know that it was her.
I'm seeing that and I apologize. That's a cup of coffee there that I owe.
Yeah. And by the way, we are going to package this as a podcast so that many more people can get this content, because it's really, I'm really also myself, I didn't intend to address the issue of packaging our offering when I brought the themes, but I think that is where we fall short. People don't know that coaches can become a solution for their problems because we are not packaging our offerings proper.
Yes, because why do you go to a doctor? It's because you're in pain about something. So why would you go to a coach? You must have a pain point which this coach can solve. It's no people won't come to a coach when they don't have some form of pain point, and the pain point in courts might be they want a future that is XYZ. That might be the pain, and of them not. But
let me read the paragraph on celebrity status management following the sport personality one. Someone is referred to as a celebrity because he or she is being celebrated by the society. I've heard people say, he thinks he's a celebrity. I said, no. People don't choose to become celebrity. You, the society, celebrate them and elevate them to a level where now they have to battle managing their lives. So there is something unique or something that distinguishes this person from the society. People do not necessarily know why they are celebrities. They have not interrogated their distinguishing factor and whether they would like to be associated with it or not. So being referred to as a celebrity is subjective. It depends on the standard the society applies. It is important to know that you can choose to be a normal person irrespective of how the society sees you. You choose to remain who you are. I might be wrong. It is a choice you must make. Being a celebrity has its own pressures and risks. You give away your privacy, have personal safety and security risks to cope with, loses touch with reality, removing oneself from ordinary people, and temptation to looking down at people, being aloof, misplaced self-worth, attracting wrong friends and attention, developing fake identity, etc. I know this is very controversial. I'm just putting it the way I feel celebrities find themselves being. What is your view there, George?
Yeah, that's you have your privacy taken away from you. No question about it. And the younger you are, the more vulnerable you are to depression.
So there's a business case to package something to accompany these young people that, I mean, for instance, let's take Tatiana Schoonmaker. I saw the Bok captain couldn't pronounce his surname, so I must also practice. Is it Schoonmaker or Schoonmaker?
The gold medalist.
Tatiana, Schoonmaker, ne?
Okay. We're talking about the gold medalist, are we?
Yes, Tatiana. Okay. She went to the Olympics. We didn't know about her. You and I didn't know about her because we don't follow Olympians that much. But today, everybody is talking about Tatiana Schoonmaker. She's bringing silver and gold. By the moment she lands at the OR Tambo, she's a celebrity in South Africa.
Yep.
And her life is taking a turn. Now, her coaches should be starting to build some sort of support around her.
Yeah.
Because everybody will want to interview her when she lands at OR.
Yeah, I even saw the president sending some congratulatory message and all that. So yes, she's a big celebrity now.
It could have been you and me, George. And the question is, how ready must you be or can you be? You go out on a plane, nobody sees you and knows even about you. You hit the gold medal, everybody's waiting for you back home.
Yeah.
It's hard, it's tough. I used to joke with my cousin in Limpopo. He goes to Comrades every year. They hire a Kumbi from Sekhukhune straight to Durban. And I used to say to him, but do you know that if you happen to win the comrades, you won't come back home on that kumbi. You will be flown from Shaka Airport, King Shaka Airport to OR, and when you get to OR, the premier of Limpopo will be the first person welcoming you, and then from there he might take you back to Polokwane to give you a big welcome. It might take a week or so before your mother sees you.
I love athletics, but I don't see myself.
No, but the thing is that we need to always bring these things up and make people realize that you work so hard to become somebody, and then that somebody you becomes so much of a problem because people never prepared you, and that's why coaches are needed.
Yes. In fact, actually, as you are talking, it is something that I think with its football clubs, the societies around these young golfers who are going to be great, is to actually include that as they get coaching, so that they can kind of understand what may happen in the future. And that actually same is bordering now on just moving away from some mentoring is important there.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you don't want people to become the victims of their own success. But many times it does. Because you don't have a coach on your side. I mean, even becoming a politician, all of a sudden you were just an ordinary comrade, and then you become a mayor, and all of a sudden you are no longer ordinary anymore.
And so that's the case at Beckingsale, that if you're going to be a minister, a mayor, a CEO, a top executive, etc., you need to have a coach.
Yeah.
Not for anything other than to help you think and help you to be the best version of what you of you. Because each of those people, by just getting there, says there's something in these people. Now we're saying, what's the best that we can draw out of you?
Exactly.
So you can become even better.
And I think in our country, we haven't done enough as coaches to really partner with our political leaders and even civil servants, because the job they do is very complex.
Absolutely. So this is the point I was saying, that so what then happens is, if someone walks up and says, listen, we are going to give you 10 million US to put boreholes, etc., in a certain place, the guys will simply take it. But through some code, sure, 10 million is welcome and it be used for other things. If someone has sat through so that in their heads they clearly understand what the priorities are, where are they, that's the point. Those are the things I'm talking about. So even if you're a CEO, your company performs absolutely great. So what are we declaring? Where we're going to reinvest, etc., etc. Those are decisions that people come to using.
I want to read the others just for the purpose of covering them all, George, and then we can then wrap up with discussing them one by one. I've got a desire to read about diversity management and inclusion, management and leadership, change management and transformation, and then executive business coaching. We know all these definitions, but I just want to to bring that into this conversation. The diversity management inclusion here, I'm saying we are different by birth and acquired characteristics. However, that does not justify rejecting each other based on our differences. Human beings can unite around their differences. In fact, we are attracted to each other because of our differences. This is what makes us pleasant species. We are adaptable to differences. The diversity management and inclusion coaching helps the clients in learning to value each other and their differences. Not that coaching will teach you, but it will make you to realize that importance. The understanding and accommodating of each other's differences is not the end of it. We must learn to appreciate our diversity. This is crucial, especially at the workplaces, where we are given the opportunity to gain value from our differences. It is only when there is harmony at the workplace that we reach our highest potential, become productive, and increase our levels of performance. Diversity management inclusion is not a nice-to-have intervention. It must be part of the company's change management, transformation, and strategy. For the first time in human history, we have all the generations at the workplaces at the same time. So that will be my value proposition to any CEO that is asking, why do you want us to coach on this one? Yeah. Okay. And then I see Mvusi saying gender transformation and development coach. How will you define this one, colleagues? So I hope that I've just defined that, Mvusi. And then, of course, gender will be a different, special kind of a diversity. And gender sensitization and inclusion, of course. And let me then jump to read the change and management and transformation side. I hope that will answer Mvusi. Change management and transformation is one of the most common themes in the coaching space. The only thing constant in our lives and in business is change. Change management is the strategic intervention that ensures that the process of transformation delivers the desired outcomes. The society and organizations are assisted by coaching to maintain the highest level of readiness in embracing and driving change management. By so doing, they enable a shift from the current state of being to the future state of being. People and organizations that reject change run a risk of becoming irrelevant in the future. So that's how I will cope. But I mean, there is no universally acceptable definition of change management and transformation. And therefore, that's why coaches must get the best out of the people and out of the clients to define change from their own perspective based on what they want to become, right? So sometimes I think people who are challenged with the task of driving change in their organizations, they must just get the coach to partner with them to help them get their own way of looking at it, because their companies are unique. Rather than going to the textbooks and copy a definition from a textbook and try to paste it onto your own organization, only to find that it's not aligned with the strategic intention or direction of your business. And it gets rejected, and then you wonder why. This is the best definition I got from the best books. Why are you rejecting it? Because it doesn't speak to the context of your organization.
Very important. And just also to add on that issue that Mvusi has brought up around gender, that's a big issue. That's a very, very big issue around gender. And context there is so important. So if you're coaching around gender in the US and you're coaching around gender here, the context is not quite the same. That's where your coaching skills come in to enable people to achieve greater clarity and to be able to achieve the goal of creating that safe workplace. Because gender in the workplace, certainly in the context of most African countries, it's a big battle for coaches, because why? The players are coming from a culture that has different values around that. And so it's a very sensitive issue and something that I'm quite passionate about, because you see a lot of brilliant ladies who fail to get to the next level simply because of these gender biases, etc. It's a big one.
And it is very easy for companies to take a decision or make a commitment to address issues of gender imbalances and appoint the women into positions of power. And it's another thing to really induct everybody into what does that really mean.
Develop a culture, yes.
Change and transform it, to change, manage, and to facilitate it, and really deal with the people. And sometimes the focus is on the women themselves, but actually sometimes the problem or the challenge is not sitting with the women. The challenge is sitting with those who occupy these spaces before. They might physically open the space, but they don't actually, in terms of practice, allow the women to enjoy the benefits of being in charge.
Right. That's right. That's the culture side of things. To create a culture where you are good. That's why you are being promoted. That's a big one.
Yeah. And there's a huge need for gender sensitization coaching. And I think, Mvusi, if from being a woman executive, having seen it in corporate, that might be a very opportune area for you to package your offering on, because even though you are not going to use your experience to coach, but the insights will help you to ask the relevant questions.
Yeah.
As a coach. And I think maybe, George, will I be right to say that we must commit to want to find people choosing this type of themes and specializing in them, because they are the areas of need.
This one is
yeah.
Carry on. No, I was going to. Sorry, I interjected. I was actually going to say this is a big one. It is a very, very big one, because you really get very, very bright people who can add serious value, who actually just withdraw into the shadows because they don't see themselves being accepted. They don't have the confidence to be there and say, listen, I can. And that's and
the clientele is very big. I mean, I see so many postings on LinkedIn of young women that have broken into great positions. But I think the story is not complete as to, once we celebrate them and their arrival, are we sure that they are getting a support they deserve? So I think the Mvusi, the clientele is quite very big. I mean, those young women that move into big positions, those are the clients of your coaching services. And they need to be reminded to say, it's enough to arrive and be celebrated. Make sure that you have the necessary support, even in areas that people may not even think you need. You have other challenges that may not be in the boardroom, but they may be around your areas of involvement in your life. So it's a good one. And then let me complete with the executive business coaching. Here, George, you will help me rephrase it, because you and I, we are playing in this space. I've just said that here, the executive business coaching, this is the fastest growing branch of professional coaching. Whereas we apply the same models, processes, tools, and frameworks, the focus is on making business executives succeed in the delivery of their strategic, functional, and operational plans. It is often aimed at the chief executive officers, managing directors, executive committees, and other executive functionaries to whom the executive responsibilities have been delegated to. The executives are fully dedicated to the running of the business and deliver on their shareholders' promises. Executive business coaching is a serious intervention. The executives are coached to master the market and grow their market share. They are expected to counter competition, grow their company's brands, deliver return on investment, reinvest resources responsibly, and grow the share prices of the enterprises. I might have narrowed it down, but it's not about the business, it's about them, the executives, how ready and capacity, how much capacity they have to do all those things. Because sometimes I feel that the tendency is to focus on what they do for the company and not what they must do to look after themselves. George?
Yes, it's really just a combination. This is the questions that you'll be asking about. I keep saying the same thing. What does success look like? What is the goal? What are you reaching for? And how will you know when you get there? These are the questions we're asking an executive for purposes of making in his mind clarity that says, this is where I'm going. These are the things that I expect. Because that he's able now to, because now when we're getting to designing actions, you're asking, so are you, what could you do to achieve your goals? What are what can you marshal to get there? So this is a big one for exec, and I see more and more companies now are actually coaching ladder. So instead of just doing CEO, CFO, in your managers below, because if those guys are allowed.
We lost you there, George.
Oh, okay. No, I'm saying companies are actually coaching down the line, is the ladder, as opposed to the CEO and the top rank only. You're now beginning to see more companies bringing in managers at a lower level.
Yes. And because they are concerned about when their time comes, they must have experienced coaching and they must have been assisted.
Yes.
Yeah. So in short, we are saying that we have a huge role to play in actually making the buyers of coaching understand what it is that actually we bring to the party. And the packaging of our offerings is something that we must not underestimate.
Yeah, and sadly, Sam, it's still seen as a fuzzy fuzzy offering. It's a nice to have, but not an integral part of getting results. And when you get to a point where people understand the value, and the value to an executive must be explained in bottom line. That's how they understand it. It's one thing convincing them that it will unlock value, and it's quite another showing numbers that will help. And so that's a big one. That's a big issue around that, and getting boards on board, as it were, on it. Because if the board is clear, the value of coaching, then they can influence the executive team to begin to utilize the service.
Wonderful. Great stuff. 10 minutes to go, George. Perhaps we can wrap up by reflecting on what we have covered and at the same time checking out. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah. Okay, so I think next week we must get, I see Rafula was there on the line. I see Fusi there. I would wonder those chips on the speaker's side next week. But for today, yes, I think we started off talking about the themes. And initially the point was, yeah, you're a coach for everything under the sun. You can be if you want it. But I think the genuine advantages of narrowing it down to your niche, it's clear that there's value there where you focus on, shall we say, your area of passion, and you create your market in that space. I think there's absolute value in that. And then obviously to say, what are we doing around celebrities? What are we doing about people who are totally unprepared for this kind of attention? How do we play a role as coaches? Yeah, and I'm done.
Yeah, my desire is to see us as a community of coaches having as diverse coaches as possible, so that when we collaborate on coaching interventions, we always know who has chosen to focus on what, and we can deliver much bigger value to the clients and the society at large. And I think this was really the one goal I wanted us to achieve in the form of highlighting it, that there is value in packaging our offerings in a way that it appeals to the clients, because then it speaks to themes and the context in which the clients find themselves. But in principle, we are agreeing that coaching is coaching. There are some fundamentals that are common across the board. And as a coach, you need to develop yourself with those fundamentals. And then, of course, you can decide to specialize on certain themes or certain context. Thank you very much, George. It has been wonderful. And I think we are growing ourselves, and we should carry on this way. I think that way we'll become better coaches. And thanks to Mbuzi, Katu, and Joe for joining. And I saw Ruben was also online. And then I saw Daniel was online. And then some few others that joined. I can't recognize their names because their addresses are not saying anything. But wonderful. Thank you so much. We look forward to the next Saturday. I'm not sure what the next Saturday's theme is going to be, but we're listening attentively as to what is happening out there. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much, good people. Take good care now. Have a great week. Cheers. Bye-bye.